Friends of Quincy resident Tim Bliefnick gathered today to watch him and his family compete as contestants on the show Family Feud.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding?
Honey, I love you, but said I do. I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I?
Yeah. If something ever happens to me, please make sure the number one person of interest is Tim, as that is who would do something to me.
The town of Quincy, Illinois, home to under 40,000 people, was widely regarded as a safe, pleasant place to raise a family. Nicknamed the state's Gym City, Quincy did not have many issues with violence or crime. But this all changed in the wee hours of February 23, 2023. Later that same day, 41-year-old mother of three, Rebecca Postal, would be found dead on her bathroom floor, lying in a pool of her own blood. And the killer would be closer than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of Becky Postal's tragic demise. Becky had married her ex-husband Tim Bliefnick in 2009. Together, they had 3 children and were described as a perfect family by those around them.
You know, when we knew Tim and Becky, that was when they had gotten engaged and were getting married, and it was a very happy time in their life.
Bliefnick was a valued member of the Quincy community. He was a Quincy University graduate where he had made a reputation for himself as an athlete. In 2019, he was inducted in the university's Football Hall of Fame. At the time of Becky's death, Bliefnick was working at Quincy Farm Products and Business Development. Becky herself was a career woman, having found her true calling in nursing. A compassionate and dedicated professional, Becky worked as a travel nurse during the COVID-19 pandemic, helping those fighting the illness in various hospitals throughout the United States. But what may have seemed like a perfect life on the outside did not hold up behind closed doors. In fact, behind Becky and Tim Bliefnick's wide grins and family photos were years of conflict, years which were slowly adding up. In 2020, Tim Bliefnick appeared on an episode of the popular game show Family Feud. During the show, contestants are asked questions, and the more popular the answer, the more points contestants are awarded.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding?
Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. I love my wife. I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I?
Yeah.
Bliefnick was in fact speaking from the heart. His marriage, all jokes aside, was falling apart at the seams. On the 21st of January 2021, Tim Bliefnick filed for divorce. But to those close to him and Becky, the divorce did not come as a surprise. A fierce custody battle ensued, with both parents wanting to have more time with their children than the other. In May 2021, Becky even texted a longtime friend to confess, "I absolutely think he'll try to take the kids sometime." To those close to Becky, Bliefnick had been revealed as an abuser. Becky felt that she needed to somehow protect herself from Bliefnick and protect her children from being abducted. But in spite of revealing that she believed Bliefnick had true mental health problems, she was afraid of filing for an order of protection. The divorce would be a tough battle, and Becky had reasons to be scared. Bliefnick did not simply represent a hypothetical threat to her and her children. He was armed, and she knew it. Becky's initial divorce attorney disclosed in November 2021 that Bliefnick had still not returned a 9mm handgun belonging to Becky, one that she had asked to have back multiple times. In response to Becky's concerns, the court appointed a guardian ad litem to their case.
I serve as what's called a guardian ad litem. The role of a guardian ad litem is to represent the best interests of the children involved in the case, whether it be a divorce, a family, or other type of case.
After months of debate, Becky initially filed for an ordinance of protection against Bliefnick's father on December 16, 2021. Similar to Bliefnick's case, she feared for her children's safety around their grandfather. The mother of three, it seemed, had started fearing for her life. In a text sent to a friend in 2021, she stated, "He has screamed in my face. He shoved me in front of the kids and has thrown things across the room where the kids and I were standing." Separately, in a text to her sister that same year, she said, "If something ever happens to me, make sure the number one person of interest is Tim. I'm putting this in writing that I'm fearful he will somehow harm me." But Becky's nightmare was far from over. Months later, as the divorce was still ongoing, Becky texted her close friend on the 14th of March 2022, saying that if Bliefnick doesn't get it his way, he may literally lose his mind. The text was in reference to the ongoing divorce and custody battle. In August 2022, a court order detailed how the children must be exchanged between Becky and Bliefnick. For reasons of safety, Bliefnick and Becky must stay within 3 feet of their cars when exchanging children. Yet, regardless of the safety procedures which were being put in place for Becky, tensions between the former lovers were rising and she knew it. In the meantime, Bliefnick started looking for a new bicycle. He created an anonymous Facebook account under the name John Smith and started inquiring on Facebook Marketplace. He asked about a blue 26-inch Schwinn mountain bike and a black mongoose bicycle, which he also purchased. On the 5th of January 2023, a friend of Becky's named Melissa Young recalled running into her at a local store.
She looked very mentally and emotionally exhausted, nothing like I used to see her. She was really in hopes to get the divorce over with and stuff.
Did Becky tell you that she felt as though Tim could snap at any moment?
Yes.
Did she also tell you that she had found out that Tim was hiding money?
Yes.
Did she also tell you that Tim had told her, "You'll be dead before you have any of my money"?
Yes.
Around this same time, Bliefnick was beginning to also act strangely, and people were beginning to notice. He asked his neighbor, Bradley Amon, whether he had any security cameras pointed toward his backyard. He didn't. On the 10th of February 2023, Bliefnick finally made an effort to return Becky's long-lost 9mm handgun. He called the Quincy Police Department and asked them whether they could return it for him since he did not want to do it directly. His request was denied. But perhaps they should have accepted Bliefnick's request. More people were starting to notice his threatening behavior and the toll it was taking on Becky. On the 13th of February 2023, Ted Johnson, Becky's significant other, decided to stay the night at the house.
I would park right here, this area.
Right there behind the house by the driveway?
Yes.
Between midnight and 1 a.m. that same night, video surveillance detected a cyclist riding past multiple residences in the area. Becky's next-door neighbor also received a notification from his surveillance system.
Did you get an alert on your phone that there was motion in your driveway?
Yes.
And did you view that video?
Yes.
When you viewed that video, did you see a person walking in your driveway?
Yes, I did.
Incidentally, both Bliefnick's phone and his Whoop armband designed to track his movement were turned off between midnight and 1 a.m. Between 1:10 a.m. and 1:30 a.m., Bliefnick's Google searches included license plate lookup, title registration lookup, VIN check lookup, vehicle records, and a search for Ted Johnson's exact VIN and license plate registration. At 1:32 a.m., a phone call was made to the Missouri Department of Revenue, the authority which handles vehicle registrations. As the coincidences between Bliefnick's late-night Google searches and the mysterious cyclist prowling around Becky's house started mounting up, it was becoming increasingly clear that the mother of three might indeed be in danger. Yet for the following week, between February 14th and 21st, the bike rider was no longer detected on any surveillance footage. On February 21st at 2:11 a.m., The same cyclist was once again picked up by cameras in the same area as before. On that same day, Rebecca messaged Bliefnick asking whether he could keep the children overnight for the next 2 days. She spent the evening with Ted Johnson. On the following day, February 22nd, the same cyclist was once again caught on camera performing a similar route as before. The same happened later during the night, with a bike rider being recorded at around 1 a.m. The cyclist stopped near Becky's house and forced his way in with a crowbar. At 1:11 a.m., Becky attempted to call 911. She failed. The home security system alerted Becky that the front door was open. At 1:16 a.m., the cyclist can be seen heading back the way he came on surveillance cameras. Incidentally, Bliefnick's phone and whoop armband were disconnected from 12:28 a.m. till 2:07 a.m. on that same night. At 6:45 a.m. on February 23rd, a nearby resident left for work, noticing that Becky's front door was open. At 11:51 a.m., Bliefnick called his children's school to ask them to not let his kids walk to their mother's home.
And he told me that he would be picking them up instead of having them walk home.
And approximately what time did he arrive at St. Peter's School on February 23rd, 2023?
1:50?
So about an hour before the dismissal even began.
Yes.
At 3 p.m., Bliefnick texted Rebecca's father. He asked if he could call her to find out when she'd be picking up the children, since the school had called to inform him that they had not yet been picked up. At 3:30 p.m., Bill Postal, Becky's father, would enter into his worst nightmare. He arrived at Becky's home to find the front door open, something which he immediately noticed as unusual. Becky did not answer his calls. In the bathroom, his daughter lay dead in a pool of her own blood.
Lex, I went to check to see if she had any heartbeat. I picked up her arm, but rigor mortis had already set in.
She had been shot 14 times. Bullet casings would later be found around and under her body, meaning that she had been shot whilst on the ground.
By the time I answered the door, I didn't see anybody, but then I saw a man walking away. He had a long coat, so I didn't recognize him, and I asked him if he wanted something, and he turned around, and it was Bill, Becky's father. He said, "I need to use your phone, call 911, Becky's dead."
At 4 p.m., Bliefnick was told of Becky's death. He replied with shock and was audibly upset. On the 27th of February, police found an abandoned blue Schwinn bike near the Quincy Public Schools bus barn. The surveillance footage cyclist had been filmed around that area multiple times. Police searched Bliefnick's home on the 1st of March, but the investigation into Becky's murder was far from over.
This is the third known location to be searched in this investigation. Of course, that includes Bliefnick's home in Quincy and, of course, the residence in the 2500 block of Kentucky Road where Rebecca Bliefnick was found dead.
In these type of cases, you want to get as much evidence as you can, and it continues all the way until the trial.
During the investigation, police found shell casings in Bliefnick's basement, which matched the ones found around Becky's body. Becky's DNA was also found inside a plastic bag found in Bliefnick's home. This discovery tied into evidence found at the crime scene.
Tell me what you saw.
Multiple pieces of what appeared to be plastic.
Reportedly, the shooter had used the bag as a homemade silencer for his weapon. Once again, Bliefnick's recent Google searches incriminated him. They included how to wash off gunpowder, average police response time, and how to open a door with a crowbar. On the 13th of March 2023, Tim Bliefnick was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty during his initial hearing and was denied bail. Throughout Bliefnick's 6-day murder trial, his attorney maintained that he was not guilty. Instead, they claimed a prowler, the same one who had been seen biking in the area of the murder, was at fault. During the trial, the jury heard of 3 simulations that law enforcement performed in order to retrace Bliefnick's steps leading up to the shooting. During the tests, it was discovered that the side of Becky's house was easily climbable, and it led to a window which had been pried open by the intruder. Bicycle rides were also timed according to the route taken by the security footage cyclist. Security cameras had captured the cyclist in the exact time frame Becky is believed to have been killed. Police also wrapped an identical plastic bag to the one the killer had used around a 9mm handgun and fired shots. The plastic shards created by the shots were similar in size and shape to the ones found around Becky's body. On the fourth day of Bliefnick's trial, even more Google searches were revealed.
Can you just wash off gunpowder residue?
Correct.
His phone was used to visit a website, DIY quickly, how to use a crowbar to open a door.
Yes.
By this point, the extent of Bliefnick's premeditation of the murder was becoming clear. The searches included, can you identify if a shotgun shell was shot out of a specific gun? How to open a window from outside? Can I force open my door with a crowbar if I lock myself out? And can gunshot residue be washed off? On the 31st of May, 2023, Tim Bliefnick was found guilty on all charges.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Timothy Bliefnick, guilty of first-degree murder.
A sentencing hearing is scheduled for August 11, 2023. But Becky's tragic death is more than spousal murder. It is a story of long-term domestic abuse and how her cries for help were repeatedly ignored. A bereaved friend of Becky's wrote, "We've watched, waited, and prayed for justice. We have to listen to women when they fear for their or their children's safety. This could have been prevented. It breaks my heart to know that these boys will grow up without their mama. We have to do better." A GoFundMe has been created to help support Becky's children. So far, over $110,000 have been raised. The description reads, "Despite the circumstances of her death, she is remembered for the life she cherished, a life of compassion, generosity, faith, and fierce love for her family." What are your thoughts on this tragic story? Do you believe Becky's death could have been prevented? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. At The Decoder, we produce and publish all our videos from start to finish and compile reliable sources to bring you the truth about the world of crime. Your support is what keeps us going, so make sure you hit like and the subscribe buttons. Click the notification bell to not miss out on any of our content. And we'll see you next time on The Decoder.